Hi, guys, good evening, and welcome back once again to The Edward. I'm your host, Eddie, and in tonight's video, I will be discussing what I thought of the latest and very interesting and entertaining film that came out earlier tonight across theaters, Psycho Killer. You'd think a movie with a title like that would be far more violent and gratuitous, and there were violent parts, but not as bad as you might think. Well, I'll get to that in a minute. But before I begin, of course, please be warned, if you haven't seen this film and you plan to watch it at some point opening weekend, this weekend, you do not want to keep watching or listening to this review, as I will be discussing spoilers, plot details, character stuff, all that jazz. That being said, you have been warned. Let's dive right back into it. Yeah, for a movie called Psycho Killer, I was expecting way more gratuitous violence, and there are violent scenes throughout. The best violent scene in terms of gruesome creative kills is when he's in the confessional with the priest and he stabs the poor bastard through the neck with some kind of long metal straw thing, and then he starts drinking his blood like he's a goddamn vampire. That shit was gnarly and awesome as hell. Possibly the best kill scene in this movie, and there's a high body count in this movie, and that was definitely like one of my personal favorite kills that the Psycho Killer did in this film. Another thing that drew me to this movie is that the lead actress, Georgina Campbell, who starred in the wonderful horror movie from several years ago, Barbarian. She was the lead in that film. So when I saw she was going to be the lead in this movie, I'm like, hell yeah, sign me up. I'm on board. And it's from the producers who did Weapons, another great horror movie. I was like, absolutely. And Malcolm McDowell's supposed to be in this? Absolutely. Sign me up. So there were a lot of things that drew me to this film. I was just surprised how like relatively unscary and unfrightening it felt and was. Like the only time I kind of jumped in my seat there was towards the end when she's having the dream or the nightmare that she's pregnant. She opens up her closet and then she closes the door and there's the killer right behind her. That part gave me a good start until she wakes up and you realize, oh, it's just a dream or a nightmare she's having. The rest of the film was relatively not that frightening. Intense, yes. Violent, gory, hell yeah. But scary, not super, which was okay with me because, again, with horror movies, of course it's great if it's scary. But as long as I'm entertained and amused by it, that's what matters to me. And I was thoroughly entertained during this movie from beginning to end. I really liked the big reveal at the end where it shows what his sinister plan was, which was to, blow up the 3 Mile Island nuclear plant and open up the gates of hell that way by blowing up a nuclear plant, wiping out perhaps the entire eastern seaboard or at least a good chunk of Pennsylvania, committing like the biggest act of mass murder you can think of on a destructive scale. And I love how smart and tenacious and brave Georgina Campbell's character was in pursuing the man who brutally murdered her husband. Hell of an opening, by the way. It's like he pulled over when he didn't have to, and it's almost like he was inviting the cop to come talk to him so he'd have an excuse to kill him or kill somebody in close proximity. And unfortunately, that's what he did. And then her being pregnant on top of that during this film, finding out she's preggers, and while simultaneously on a quest for justice and revenge. Pretty badass, pretty inspiring. So, and then I was a bit confused by the ending because I thought she shot him through the back of the head, but then I thought about it, I'm like, that was a shoulder shot and she just put him down, crippling him, where they could then take him alive and reverse whatever damage he had done to the control room. And then as the closing scene showed, they show him being escorted in a highly armored escort brigade going to some federal prison in Death Valley where they're putting him back where he belongs, which does leave the door open for a sequel where the Psycho Killer could return in a sequel, perhaps in a much more straightforward slasher affair. But again, only time will tell. It probably depends on how well this movie does this weekend. I enjoyed it. The killing of the Catholic priest was probably like my favorite part of the film, as weird as that is to say out loud. It was just a gory, creative kill. The drinking of the blood was kind of the icing on the cake for me. I was like, oh, oh. And there's some other gnarly kills in this movie too, like the whole orgy scene. I was shocked he displayed mercy towards the one kid he let go. And perhaps it's because he felt like he was a true believer in Satan like he was. Or maybe it's because the kid was the most useful person of that whole group and actually gave him information and gave him what he was looking for, what he wanted. So I don't know, but I just thought it was an interesting turn of events where he just displayed mercy before going on his killing spree. So I was like, oh, interesting character choice. Okay. But overall, I liked it a lot. I would probably see it again. I wouldn't be opposed to seeing a sequel of this film. If we got a sequel where he escapes from prison and goes on just a good old fashioned killing spree, like a straight up slasher film, I would be okay with that. And then put him down for good. The other thing that I liked about this movie is that even though it wasn't totally super scary to me personally, they did take an idea which is terrifying of a lunatic infiltrating a nuclear plant with a grenade or sticks of dynamite like he did, or just a bomb in general, and trying to blow it up himself along with it, for just whatever destructive, twisted, sinister agenda they may have. In this case, he was trying to open up the gates of hell. But this movie made us realize, God, there are sick people out there who actually would try to do something like that. Thankfully, security is rather tight at installations like that, so something like that, hopefully the chances of happening are quite low. Plus, this is a movie where, they tend to exaggerate on things and whatnot. But I was entertained with it, and I would definitely see it again. What were your thoughts on it? Did you like it? Did you hate it? Were you expecting more, expecting less? Did you think it was necessarily a frightening or scary film? Let me know down below in the comments section. Have a wonderful rest of your night. Oh, one more little critique. I was very let down that the song Psycho Killer by Talking Heads was not featured, not once at all during this movie. So that was a bit of a disappointment. But overall, I liked the movie fine. All right, guys, have a great rest of your night. Thank you so much for watching. Psycho Killer is now playing in theaters. Have a good night. And of course, until next time, what's your favorite scary movie?